August, 1968. The whole world is watching as violence erupts on the streets of Chicago outside the Democratic National Convention. 32-year-old CBS cameraman Del Hall is there.
I was the first news person hit by a Chicago policeman during that week.
It is a turbulent 5 days that changes the face of politics in a turbulent year, 1968.
It's the year that Martin Luther King was killed. And what followed that were riots and burnings, and people were killed. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in Los Angeles. On top of that, the Vietnam War was so oppressingly in the news.
It's the war that draws protesters to the Democratic National Convention in Chicago that summer. Presidential contender Robert Kennedy had been assassinated 2 months earlier. The new frontrunner, Vice President Hubert Humphrey, was seen by many in the anti-war movement as an establishment sellout.
First they got Bobby Seale and put him away for 4 years.
Jerry Rubin, Tom Hayden, Abby Hoffman, and other activists urged people to demonstrate during the Democratic National Convention to be held that August in Chicago. Thousands answer their call. Del Hall is covering the street action for CBS Network News.
The sign says resist, and I think that's what was at the heart of kids coming to Chicago. They wanted to resist the war. They wanted to resist everything that was happening in 1968.
Chicago's tough mayor, Richard Daley, opposes the demonstrators. On Sunday, August 25th, the day before the convention begins, city officials refuse to allow demonstrators to camp in downtown Lincoln Park. An 11 p.m. curfew is announced. That evening, the police clear the park and push the crowd into the street.
It was as forcing everyone to leave the park and closing the parks. It really was a confrontation in itself.
The next morning, Mayor Richard Daley opens the convention. That night, violence erupts again when some 1,000 protesters refuse to leave the park at 11 p.m. Police move in with tear gas. As the police clear the streets, Hall finds himself caught in the crossfire.
100 or 200 people had left Lincoln Park, and they were proceeding down toward town on the sidewalks and in the street. And when they got to a certain point, the police decided to say, "This is as far as you're going to go." And as they ran into the crowd to disperse, I was looking at the march and at the action, and one of the policemen just took a swipe at me and hit me in the face. John Lawrence took my camera away and took pictures of me after I got hit, because I got hit in the forehead, and that's an awfully bloody spot.
Over the next 2 days, the situation escalates as police and protesters engage in running battles and skirmishes across the city.
There's a Viet Cong flag. That's one of the things that put oil on the fire. The Viet Cong flag was strictly a sign of trouble for the police. They couldn't stand that.
Then, on Wednesday evening, the simmering violence erupts in front of the Hilton Hotel.
These people are all there because this was the main hotel. This is where Hubert Humphreys was staying. This is where all the news cameras were set up.
Del Hall's camera is rolling as activists gather outside the hotel, hoping to protest in full view of the media.
Here's what happened in front of the Hilton Hotel that night that everybody saw and heard everybody chanting about the whole world is watching, the whole world is watching.
The police try to maintain control, but that all changes when a group with permission from the city pulls a covered wagon down the street in front of the Hilton.
This was a mule-drawn covered wagon that was let through the barricades in front of the hotel. I always believed that this precipitated the violence outside the hotel because I believe that they opened the barricades and let this through, and when the barricades were opened, probably a lot of protesters who were hiding behind the barricades went through behind the wagon, and that's when I believe it all broke out in front of the hotel.
As protesters break through the barriers, the police lose control and begin beating protesters and bystanders alike. It's all shown on television. Viewers around the world are shocked. Inside the convention hall, outraged Democrats demand that Mayor Daley put an end to the violence.
We wouldn't have to have Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago.
Word got into the convention what was happening, and it really did upset the whole convention.
Ironically, the actions of the police that night give the demonstrators exactly the dramatic incident they need to galvanize opposition to the war.
I know for a fact that a lot of minds were changed here. A lot of people that had no prior feelings about the war crystallized their feelings that night because of the way things were handled.
These images of the 1968 Democratic Convention remain as a reminder of those turbulent times.
This convention and the mayhem that happened at this convention could never happen again. It was just the time. It was 1968, and the time was right for it. I don't think you realized it at the time, but there'll never be, I hope there'll never be another year like 1968.